What's poppin', players? Welcome back to the Two Penny Gamescast, episode 127. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Connor Elliott.
Hi, happy you're here to waste your time by watching us.
Holy don't know. You're not wasting your time. Your time is very valuable here. Please keep watching. Connor, our retention level is low enough, buddy. We don't need that. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't know, this is your weekly video game industry news show. Me and Connor come to you every Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygames, and mainstream podcast services of your choice. And we each bring to you two topics, 2 pennies, if you will, concerning the video game industry, and we give you our 2 cents on them. This week, Connor, in a refreshing take, finally a news week where we don't have to start with some bad news. We don't have to start with people getting assaulted. We don't have to start with acquisitions getting messy. There was some more he said, she said on the Xbox, PlayStation, FTC scale, whatever. Who cares about that? That's just more the same rhetoric that we've already gotten. But
yeah, and if we covered everything, we'd be oversaturating that topic because it's just gonna come out.
How many times can we say, yeah, man, I don't know, man, Activision Blizzard not that great. Xbox probably a little better. Let's find out. Anyways. But this week, we had some fun news. We had some good stuff, some refreshing stuff, some exciting stuff. So I'm going to start with my first penny of the day. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. God of War live action series officially announced for Prime Video. Cory Barlog will serve as executive producer. This is an IGN article from Matt Kim. Prime Video has announced that it will officially order a God of War live-action series in co-production with the Sony Pictures Television and PlayStation Productions. Amazon's Prime Video service says that the live-action series will be an adaptation of the Santa Monica Studios sequel series, following Kratos in the Norse realm of Midgard, following his quest of vengeance in ancient Greece. Like in the game, the series will follow Kratos as he journeys with his son to the highest peak as a final request from his late wife. It was reported earlier this year that Prime Video was in talks with PlayStation on a potential live-action series, but today's direct-to-order announcement confirms Prime Video is serious about the adaptation. The Wheel of Time's Rafe Judkins will serve as showrunner and executive producer, while Mark Fergus and Hawk Otsby, who's worked on Iron Man and Children of Men, have boarded the series as writers and executive producers. Cory Barlog will also serve as an executive producer. Quote, "The God of War is a compelling, character-driven franchise that we believe will captivate our global customers as much with its expansive and immersive worlds as its rich storytelling," says Amazon Studios head of global television, Vernon Sanders. Quote, "We are so proud and excited to be working with our friends at Amazon Studios and our partners at PlayStation Productions to adapt this beautiful and heartbreaking game into a premier live-action series," adds Sony Pictures Television Studios president Catherine Pope. And then some more about God of War 2018, yada, yada, yada. We already know all about that. Connor!
Good game.
God of War's coming, man. Live action. Here we go. Real exciting stuff. Amazon Prime, best known for their work with The Boys and most recently Invincible. I think probably pretty good track record with those two. I don't know anything else that they made. They probably made something else, but those are the two that I know.
Unfortunately, they made they should have made Rings of Power, Lord of the Rings series that came out recently.
They did make Rings of Power, which I thought fans were like cool with, like it was okay.
Oh, they hated it.
Oh, they hated
Absolutely hated it. Oh, yeah, because it takes very established things such as like lore and history of Tolkien's universe and just ignores it and puts things in at random points. It's just a mess, and it focuses on weird themes. They try to tie an immigration theme into it, which is kind of strange with how it's just not. Doesn't work. No one was liking it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad though.
No. Yeah. I mean, like their track record for some of the good stuff doesn't make this like a bad thing or make you put any kind of bad news. No, it doesn't make it sour. My taste for this series coming out, because God of War, it's one of those games that it can easily be made into a movie, into a series. Clearly, they've gone with the series choice in this one. Like
I think that's smart.
Is doing. Yeah, I mean, I think you're able to develop one of the core strengths of this game is the relationship between Kratos and Atreus, which I think my general thoughts are that television shows that give you a longer time with characters end up making better ones than movies do. I know everyone, that's obviously a very personal opinion, but that makes me more happy with them deciding to go for a series as opposed to a movie. Because, as long as they nail that down and have some cool action scenes, because it is God of War and has some epic moments, should be a layup. And with Corey Balrog at the head, one of the heads of this thing, who obviously made the first game, he directed it. Just positive news, like you said, we're starting off strong this week and not dour.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm very much interested in this. I'm very excited for this. The Last of Us HBO show looks to be very, very good and very exciting. Which I meant to talk to you and Phil about something about that, but forgot when we were recording earlier with Phil. And by the way, we will have our Marvel's Midnight Suns review. Phil reviewed it for us at the end of this episode, so stay tuned for that. But yeah. I'm very much interested in this. I'm very excited for it. I love the story of Kratos and Atreus. I'd love to have that in a more digestible fashion, being a television show, than playing a 30-hour video game. My big thing about it is like there is so much information to convey to the audience, but I think that also allows for a lot of great storytelling opportunities in the medium of television with episode by episode basis. Like let's say, I don't know, for example, this is a 12 episode series, the first season, and it'll track over the events of the first game. That gives us plenty of time to go through all of our necessary arcs, introduce our characters like Freya and Mimir and the two dwarven brothers and so forth. Plenty of time to have some good bonding moments with Kratos and Atreus and learning things such as, how to survive in the world, combat, their personal relationship, Atreus' mother and so forth, and flesh out the world of Norse mythology, which we don't see a lot of in live action. The best we've got is, the MCU, which is not even an accurate take of Thor in the comics. It started accurate and then, diverged rather. So it'd be nice to see, some more, traditional takes on Norse mythology. Obviously, God of War has its own interpretation of the myths that, is different from the actual poems. But, I think this is closer than what we normally get with, the MCU. So that's exciting. And then you see some opportunity, let's say 12 episodes, let's say 2 or 3 episodes are dedicated to Kratos' backstory. Going into this series, let's say it opens the exact same way 2018 opens. Going into this story, it's going to be, you're going to have a lot of new people with eyes on it who don't know anything about God of War or Kratos or anything like that. Or maybe just know the iconography of the blades or something. You could have, some great flash. So going in through that opening, rather, let me stay on track here. Going in through that opening, you could see, a lot of audiences being like, yo, why is he so reserved? Why is he not a good father to his son? Why is he so distant? Why does he have this rage in him? Why does he have this trepidation in him? And then we have some flashbacks of, him in his Greek era, and you go, oh, that's why. Okay. Mm-hmm. This also gives us an opportunity to actually flesh out the Greek era with some actually good writing and good performances and layered storytelling, which is sorely missing in those early God of War games. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here to, make the character of Kratos even more fleshed out and even greater than he is right now in the video games. And he's fucking awesome in the video games right now. And it is also the first time where I've heard about a live action and anything or an adaptation from video games to something else, whether it be an animated movie or a live action one or, TV show or book or whatever, where I sit back and I go, you know what? Honestly, this is the first time this has happened. Honestly, I would like the actor from the game to be the actor in the live action thing. This is the first time where I'm like, no, Christopher Judge he nails it. He's the right body type. He's the right age. If we do flashback things, we'd probably have to do something, either age him down with CGI or maybe make him cast a secondary actor who looks like him or something. Yeah. But for the most part, I think he looks like Kratos, man. He's built like him. He's the right size and height and age, and he already does a phenomenal job in performance. He's got a great voice for it. Just throw a bunch of gray paint on him, and you got him. You know, that's Kratos.
Yeah, I obviously this is very far out since it's just kind of in the concept phase, so we don't even have an actor.
Yeah, we probably got 2+ years before this comes to.
Yeah. I hope. Yeah. I'm with you. I hope they do Christopher Judge as Kratos, but you know how these things generally go. They like to do their own, draw from their own people, which is to say more Hollywood actors. But Corey Balrog is a producer on this game, so he would have more weight if he decides to go with that.
Barlog, buddy, not Balrog. I know you got Lord of the Rings on the mind.
I know. It always, every single time I see it, I'm just like, that's his name. It's a cool name.
It's a cool name. Anyways, I'm sorry I cut you off.
That's fine. That was pretty much.
Yeah. With Corey at the helm, I think there's a good chance of it. I mean, Christopher Judge has a name in show business. You know, you think he's from Stargate, and he's done a couple other things. So like he's not like a nameless actor, and then surround him with actors that will draw in people. I don't know, fucking Angelina Jolie is Freya. I don't fucking know.
It could work, but I don't know.
I don't know. But you pick a name, you find it, you pay that actor or whatever. And as opposed to like The Last of Us, where like Troy Baker does not look like Joel. Now granted, as Troy's gotten a little older, you could see it a little more accurately now, but he doesn't look like Joel. And Ashley Johnson definitely is not Ellie. It's a fucking 30+-year-old woman versus a 14-year-old girl. Yeah. So like that casting made sense. Also, Pedro Pascal is hot right now. The name is hot. He is also a very attractive man. But so that makes sense, and we still incorporated Troy and Ashley into the show anyways, as we saw in the new trailer. But yeah, I just think this way, like, fucking do it. Like, also I saw on Twitter that Judge is on board. Judge is down for it. I'm sure Judge would like to have his personal face attached to Kratos as opposed to the creation of the character model here. But who knows?
Yeah, hope they do it justice. Amazon get it right.
Speaking of doing things justice and live action adaptations, Connor, we're not done with these type stories. Warhammer 40K. This is your first penny of the day, by the way. Warhammer 40K rights secured by Amazon Studios. Henry Cavill set to star and executive produce. I didn't realize this was another Amazon story. Here we go. Yep. IGN, Matt Perslow. Amazon Studios has announced that it has secured the rights to Warhammer 40K and plans to start a, quote, universe of Warhammer programming that will be executive produced by and star Henry Cavill. Revealed on the official Warhammer community website, Amazon has secured the global rights for Warhammer 40K, the sci-fi universe created by Games Workshop. Quote, the agreement encompasses rights to the universe across series, film, and more, says the statement from Amazon Studios. Quote, this is the first deal of its kind for Amazon Studios for IP of this scale, and it's allowed the company to utilize the title across its entertainment businesses. It continues, Henry Cavill, from Man of Steel and Mission Impossible, is set to star in and executive produce the Warhammer 40K franchise across all Amazon Studios productions. Right now, Amazon Studios only has the rights for Warhammer 40K. There are no announced TV shows or movies, and so it may be many years before we see any projects materialize. As such, there's no word on who Henry Cavill may play across what is described as a Warhammer 40K cinematic universe. However, talking to IGN last year, Cavill did express interest in playing one of the Primarchs or Captain Generalis? Generals? Or one of the Captain Generals? Is that what it is? Connor, I can't hear you.
Oh, my mic got muted.
There we go. Okay.
Yes, camera jet. Captain Generals.
Captain Generals. Okay. Very high-ranking key characters from the Warhammer mythos. While concrete details on shows and films are likely a way off, Cavill nonetheless seems excited to be bringing the grim, dark universe to life. Quote, I have loved Warhammer since I was a boy, making this moment truly special for me. The opportunity to shepherd this cinematic universe from its inception is quite the honor and the responsibility, said Cavill. I couldn't be more grateful for all the hard work put in by Vertigo, Amazon, and Games Workshop to make this happen, one step closer to making a nigh-on lifelong dream come True. And then over on Instagram, Cavill echoed his excitement in a post that concluded by saying, "Our first steps are to find filmmaker, creator, writer. Watch this space, my friends." Amazon press release explains that Vertigo Entertainment partnered with Henry Cavill to help secure the rights to Warhammer 40K and bring it to Amazon Studios. As such, it seems like Cavill is spearheading the operation, considering his love for the universe. That is hopefully a very good thing for fans of Space Marines. The Inquisition, Alidari, and all other sorts of intergalactic horrors. Okay,
Eldari is the correct term, Tavin.
All right, good. Yeah, great. You fucking nerd. Okay,
The A
so
is silent.
no set like movie, TV show, animation. We don't know exactly what's coming, but something's coming from Amazon here. So Amazon's doing something, or even just another video game. Who knows? Amazon's doing something here. First off, how do you feel about Amazon owning Warhammer 40K?
Well, Games Workshop, the people who own it and are obviously letting them do their thing, sucks. It is one of the worst companies ever. They make the products that they release are so overpriced despite not costing that much. And to give a sense of what they did right on their tabletop scene, they made an edition of the game for something called Kill Team. They made it brand new. They added books to it, new units, and then that same year made an entirely new version of that game, making all of those things they just did null and void in the same year. They're very money grubbing. Like that is the definition of it. They
didn't know this.
Are not. Yeah, they are not good. They barely credit their artists. They are not good at all. They even made their own Warhammer TV, like not TV show, but TV channel. Like they have their little shorts on them that aren't good, that aren't particularly well made. So the fact that they're not getting their hands on this, pretty good. Whenever a related thing to Warhammer is good, it's because of things outside of Games Workshop's echelon of elites who, generally decide how things are done. So Amazon having it, I don't think that's a problem. We just talked about it with God of War. They have a pretty good track record of having shows so far. Obviously, they have the Lord of the Rings, which wasn't that great. But, they have The Boys, The Invincible, both great shows. So really, the thing that I'm curious about is what form this is going to take. Obviously, they're being open-ended because Warhammer is very similar to Star Wars in the sense there's lots of different factions, lots of different moving parts, large variety of things you can do. You can make it very horror. You can make it very action-packed, which is probably the route they're going to go. You have all those factions you can focus on, which admittedly, because it is kind of the first foray into this, they probably do the safer way of making humanity, the Imperium, the main characters, which is great because they're probably the most diverse faction in terms of the types of things they could do with it. Because you can play as you can either portray the Space Marines, these super battle-hardened, powerful warriors, or you can just do regular soldiers who kind of have it the worst in that setting because things are so terrible for anybody who doesn't have super powerful powers or strong bodies. I only have hope for this, especially because Henry Cavill is such a big Warhammer fan. He constantly brings it up in interviews and randomly points things out like, oh, that thing looks like a Blackstone fortress, completely unbiddenly. He obviously has nerd on the brain, especially with how he's portrayed Geralt and his passion for that and how well of a job he did for that as well. He clearly, when he has passion for something, does it well. Granted, I'm pretty sure this is the first kind of thing he's doing, because usually he's the actor, not the executive producer or showrunner or anything like that. So, there is room for him to, have a bit of an issue stepping into this role, but at least the passion's there. So I know that it'll be given justice.
Let me see if I can pull up a resume for things he's helped produce before.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you brought up great things like with Cavill, with The Witcher and so forth. He recently announced his departure from the show. Probably for a number of reasons, but there was always talks about how he would always push to be more accurate to the books and more accurate to the games and so forth, and the writers did not want to go in that direction, which is probably part of the reason for why he left. And then, he always, it's funny with the recent news of Henry Cavill being them not, having Cavill return for Superman in the DC universe. He, damn, this motherfucker's 6'1". Yeah. him not returning for Superman, but he always wanted to do right by the character of Superman. And it's funny. There's a lot of like comparisons now to him. Henry Cavill Superman in comparison to Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, where it's like, man, it's this actor who had it. He had the juice. He was good in the role, and just the creative teams around him failed him, and that sucks. But no, I agree with you here. Let me see if I can find it on his Wikipedia page, or IMDb would probably be better, right?
Probably, yeah. Well, IMDb, I always their layout of their website I never liked.
Photos,
always seems kind of hard to find
credits, actor.
While you're looking that up, while you're perusing it, one of the really cool things that Warhammer has going for it is super strong, interesting characters. You know, the named characters have books written about them, video games based off of them. And one of the things it touches on here is the Primarchs, who are very powerful figures in the 40K universe who have very strong characters. He'd be great for any one of them. You know, there's people like let me bring up a couple. Lionel Johnson, who's basically this very antisocial, hard to get along with person who's a great commander and is very stalwart and strong and uncorruptible, but he has his own share of flaws, as many of the other Primarchs do. Gilliman, who's become kind of the face of Warhammer 40K because he's the in the current set. He's the only Primarch still active on the good guy side of things. Won't go into too much details on that in case people don't want to be spoiled and may want to use this as a chance to get into Warhammer 40K. But really, just considering how well he did with Archer, I think he can make some great performances in this one.
Do you think this will be an adaptation of a story already told, or this will be a new original story?
I think my guess is one of the formative moments in 40K is a period known as the Horus Heresy. I'm not going to go into details, but it has the most amount of large name characters, some of the best battles in the series. Really, the scale of it is greater than anything that 40K has seen since that event happened, though it is obviously very grandiose in general. So I think there's a lot of stuff you could pull from that, especially since it's a period of time that takes place over the course of 10 years. So they can, draw a lot of different content just from that alone, rather than just doing a whole wide, basically just, what's the word I'm looking for? Rather than just doing all of the thing in one go. I don't know how to word that.
I don't either. I'm lost for you. I'm still looking for these production credits, and I can't seem to find any. But I'm also bad at this, so I don't know.
I don't think he is a producer on many.
I was looking at The Witcher specifically to see if he heralded as a producer on The Witcher, but I couldn't see anything on that. But his influence is felt in The Witcher. And I think I think him given the keys to the kingdom here will be I think it's a smart move. I think it's a good move, and I think whatever comes, I think Warhammer fans will be happy. Hopefully, if the production is there, if like in terms of like budget and if it looks good and if the talent is right. But if if some of those things fall flat, well then maybe they'll just get the world right and it'll be a shitty show. You know what I'm talking about?
Who knows? But I don't. Yeah, he doesn't seem to have anything other than acting credits.
Yeah, I don't have any. But I don't have any issue with him taking this over. This seems like the right fit. If we're gonna get a Hollywood type doing this, he seems like the right guy. It's funny how he's our guy. Like it's this muscle bound jarhead dude who you would totally expect not to give a fuck, but he's our guy. He's done The Witcher. He was in rumors of doing some Mass Effect stuff, and now he's doing this, and he's Superman. Yo, he's our guy. We got one. We got one.
Yep. Long fought, but finally. Maybe it'll actually have some interesting results.
Hopefully. Connor, moving on to our third topic of the day. I don't care who takes this one. This is my penny. Sure, fuck it. Horizon multiplayer game confirmed by Guerrilla. Again, Matt Purslow, again from IGN. Guerrilla has confirmed that it is working on a multiplayer game set in the Horizon universe and that it will feature a brand new cast of characters and a new art style. In a job advertisement post on Twitter, the Amsterdam-based studio revealed that, quote, a new internal team is developing a separate online project set in the Horizon universe. Featuring a new cast of characters, and a unique stylized look, friends will be able to explore the majestic milds of... Majestic milds? Is that right?
Yeah, I think wilds.
Milds or wilds?
I think you meant to say wilds.
It says, scrolling up into the post from Guerrilla, it says wild, so that's a typo from Matt. Matt, get your shit together. sorry, Matt,
Geez,
will
no.
be able to explore the majestic wilds of Horizon together, it said. A rumor suggesting a multiplayer Horizon game surfaced earlier this year, but this is the first time that Guerrilla has confirmed such plans for the machine hunting series. The job listings provide a little more context. The narrative designer for the online project is required to tell a deep, complex story, suggesting that it is likely not just a match-based multiplayer game. The game writer is asked to pitch compelling ideas for quests, factions, and backstories, pointing to something that will be that will be a game with at least similar narrative elements. That was another typo. Similar narrative elements to those seen in the mainline series. Meanwhile, the lead combat designer for the project will be responsible for creating, quote, variety of enemies, machines, and humanoids that focus on exciting combat with cooperative elements. Guerrilla notes that in its Twitter post that it is, quote, continuing to create epic solo adventures for Aloy, and so it can be assumed that a third mainline Horizon game is also planned. This new multiplayer project won't be the first game to expand the Horizon universe, though. In February, we get Horizon Call of the Mountain, yada, 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 yada.
Horizon multiplayer.
Horizon multiplayer. First off, I'll say, sure, I'm down. Why not? You know, Horizon, good world, good universe. I'd like to explore more of it. My hang up with Horizon is that the storytelling and Aloy as a character are not interesting to me, especially in this new game. The last game, you know, the world was being introduced and everything was new and exciting and stuff, and the world really carried that game, in my opinion. And I had a lot of fun hunting machines and figuring out their archetypes and how they behaved and how to best take them down. I think doing that with a co-op partner would be a lot of fun. Now we dive deep into some of the gritty things that they're looking for here. So their narrative designer, they're looking for deep, complex story. We'll see about that. And to pitch compelling ideas for quest, factions, and backstories. Now, the deep, complex story is buzzwords. We need a story, basically. We need a reason as to why we're a bunch of hunters hunting machines and fighting people and so forth. That's about as deep as I think they're going to get. Pitch compelling ideas for quests, factions, and backstories. This, I think, gives us some insight as to what type of game we're going to get. Now, you think Horizon, you think giant beasts, you think bows and arrows, you think, cool little weapons and traps and so forth. You think probably Monster Hunter inspired, which I think would make a lot of sense. But quests, factions, and backstories. Now, those are all things that are very deep in the Horizon main games. Is the different factions you're dealing with, the different cultures you're dealing with, the different sort of tribes that you're dealing with. I think all of that we can see some influence in there. So now I ask you, Connor, with the acquisition of Bungie in mind, providing a multiplayer backbone sort of to PlayStation Studios to provide sort of how we keep these servers alive and awake and going on. Is this a games of service Destiny / Monster Hunter crossover game?
You see, that's the thing, right? The idea of a Horizon multiplayer game isn't unappealing. It's actually, and there's many appealing aspects to it. But I just don't know how it would really play and be fun or good. Like with what we got with Horizon as of right now. That's all fine and well, but with multiplayer being a factor into it, I don't know how it'll change. Because I find it hard. I really just don't know how this is going to come out. Yeah, I don't really have. It's hard for me to develop any kind of thoughts on this.
Well, I think some of the key parts here is another quote featuring a new cast of characters in a unique, stylized look. Now, yeah. Unique and stylized. That to me means they want this to read as the multiplayer game and not be confused with the single player games off the bat. You want to be able to look at it and be like, that's the co-op game. That's not Aloy's story. So I think we're getting something probably a little new here. Something maybe some different use of colors or different, take on the environments and so forth. So I'm more curious now as to what we're really getting. And you think of how Ghost of Tsushima experimented with its Legends mode and how unique the art style was in that as opposed to the main game. Now, I don't think that I don't think that that's a one-for-one translation, but I think that's, you know, something that we can maybe pull some ideas from here is, you know, now we have, you know, a little bit of spirituality to it. You know, there's some spiritual stuff going on in Horizon, not as much as, you know, Ghost of Tsushima does, but, you know, it's in there. You know, people be taking their weird drugs and having crazy visions and so forth, and then there's technology and so forth being mixed into that, in a weird blend of tribal, early days with spears and sticks mixed with, you know, giant machines and crazy technology and so forth. So I think we're in for something sort of unique in that sense. But I think they very clearly, in my opinion, want something that is different from what has come before, but still identifiable as the world of Horizon. Does this mean it's a cel-shaded game or a fucking cartoon looking shit? I don't know. But like, yes. Or, you know, I think they very specifically, and they probably want to go to a new location too. They probably want to just be as removed from Aloy as possible, so maybe even a different continent, and so forth to really separate ourselves from here. So I'm very, very interested in what we're getting. It's just a matter of, as you say, what follows from here. Because I think you can throw two characters into a Horizon game, two playable characters into a Horizon game, and, you know, have them work together, and I think that makes sense. I imagine, you know, you're taking the brunt of the damage and the attention and the aggro, and I'm setting up traps that, you know, applies elemental damage that'll stun the big monster that we're fighting, and along the way, like, other smaller beasts are coming out of the woodwork and trying to help and so forth. So we're having to deal with that. How many players are in this co-op thing? Is it 2? Is it 4? Is it 3? You know, how many are we getting in a squad? How many people can we play with? And then, are we mission based? Are we going back to a hub world and then dipping back into the wilds, or are we, you know, are we collecting resources in the wilds so that we can, you know, prep for a mission? I'm going in with an assumption that there's going to be a lot of Monster Hunter inspired choices made from a design perspective. I'm making that assumption off top because that makes sense in my brain. But, you know, is it just mission-based linear mission game? I don't know. Or, you know, like Destiny-like, so forth type stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here. I just really, the more they go into it, like, cel-shaded is the first thing that comes up in my mind when you're trying to get a unique look as well.
Yeah.
That could change it up. I mean, taking down big monsters is what I envision. Just like as people that aren't as good at fighting as Aloy, because Aloy is like kind of special in that regard.
Yeah.
Being more primitive in the ways they take down these giant monsters and working in dual tandem with people.
Well, and then you also think of how Ghost, with its Legends mode, had different archetypes. You know, you had the stealth guy, you had the bow and arrow guy, you had the warrior guy, and so forth. And they would all did have their own personal strengths and weaknesses and so forth. And you could easily apply that to Horizon. Here's a dude with a spear. Here's a dude with a bow. Here's a dude with, he heals real good. I don't know, or the slingshot guy, or a guy who uses machine guns or something. I don't know. Or here's a guy who can take over smaller beasts and, you know, use them to his advantage to attack the larger beast or something like that. You know, you start thinking of class types and so forth. And I think all of that could create some cool, unique gameplay opportunities in the world of Horizon.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm down. I'm more down for this than I am for a third Horizon game.
So am I. I don't think we need any more time with Aloy. I know they seem interested in it.
I mean, we're gonna get it, but yeah, it's just like, yeah.
Not drawing me in. But this could. I want to see what this looks like before I make those kinds of judgments, though.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's just let's see what it looks like before we jump to any conclusions. Let's see what we're gonna get. Are we gonna get the you know, the Avengers twist of this is a games of service shit, or like it's like something to where we're like, oh, this is not at all what I was expecting? Maybe, who knows? It's a first person shooter game. What? Why? But we'll see. God, don't be a first person shooter. Anyways, we'll see. Connor, let's move on to our final topic of the day, your second penny, and probably just a quick little short one. This year, Jeff Keighley tweeted, this year's Game Awards hit a new viewership milestone, 103 million live streams. Thank you for making this the most watched Game Awards in history. See you in 2023. And then He continues on Twitter. TGA delivered over 11.5 million video views of the live stream, with a 28% increase in conversation volume year over year, 33% increase in unique authors, and 31% increase in the Game Awards hashtag use. The show trended number 1 worldwide, including all top 5 worldwide trends. And then the Steam Deck giveaway was definitely a big hit. On Steam, over 9.5 million unique customers viewed the Game Awards live stream, with a peak audience of over 850,000 concurrent users.
I think that might have been one of the big reasons we got a lot.
Everybody was getting Steam Decks. There was another. He posted another thing, and I thought it was in that thread, but he posted another thing where he had the comparative, like the breakdown of views from year over year. And I think like last year it was like 87 million or something like that. And here it is. I found it. Historical Game Awards viewership numbers. And he breaks down all the way from the start, where we start at 1.9 million. We keep going. In the last 3 years, 2020, 83 million viewers, 85 million in 2021, and then 103 million in 2022. And what's funny is Jeff Keighley also thought that they weren't going to break viewership records this year.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah. Great news for them. Great news for the Game Awards. Next year is the 10th annual show, so a 10-year anniversary of the Game Awards. I'm expecting big things from Jeff Keighley, on top of the fact that next year is a big year for video games in general. Legend of Zelda, Resident Evil 4, Fire Emblem Engage is going to get ripped off, probably.
Probably, yeah.
What else is coming? Spider-Man 2? Bunch of stuff coming.
I will most definitely be, when this next Game Awards come out, believing that Avowed will finally get a gameplay trailer. I really wanted that game.
Where the fuck is that game? There's a couple of games where I'm like, where the fuck is that game? It's been a while since we've seen it.
In the ether.
Anyways, Connor, anything cool you got to say about this? Go ahead.
I just got to give the shout out to probably why this Game Awards did so well is because of my former Orthodox Rabbi, Bill Clinton. I think he really did a good job in making this come to fruition.
I saw statistics, 103 million live streams for this. 15 point something live streams for the Oscars last year. More people saw the Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton bit than saw Will Smith slap Chris Rock.
That's pretty great.
That's great. Video games are the biggest thing in the world, man.
They are. And the Oscars are lame and stupid. As someone famous once said.
Fuck the Oscars. Anyways, I
can't remember.
That was it. Yeah, he yelled "fuck the Oscars."
Yeah.
Shout out, home dude from Hazelight. What is his name?
Joseph
Harris. Ferris. That's his name. Yeah. But yeah, this is exciting. The Game Awards continues to get bigger and trending upwards every year. We reviewed the Game Awards last week, and we had a lot of positive things to say about it. We thought it was paced very well. There wasn't an overabundance of ads or the presence of Hollywood figures in it. There was a good balance of world premieres versus actual celebration of games and giving awards away on stage, which we, struggled with last year, where we thought, just bigger and longer was the right to go. Whereas this time around it went, okay, well, let's have a more focused approach. We tried, I like that Keighley is continually willing to let the show evolve and taking criticism. Every time he does a live show of any time, whether it's Opening Night Live, whether it's Summer Games Fest, whether it's the Game Awards, he comes up on Twitter afterwards and goes, "Hey, what did everybody think? What's the criticism? He checks the temperature of the industry and of the culture, and he wants to hear what people are saying about it." And I think the continued success that we're seeing and the growing success that we're seeing is a direct result of that, where we continue to take the Game Awards seriously. We continue to see the Game Awards as the big one, as our Oscars, as our big award show that everybody cares about. Yeah, there's smaller award shows throughout the year that matter just as much, the GDC Awards and the all the other ones that happen, and every website has their own game award, celebration or so forth. But this is the one that we uphold as this is the one for both industry and for consumers, whereas GDC is a little more industry focused. So I think congratulations to Jeff on the success, and keep going, man. Keep learning, keep evolving, keep willing to take that criticism and keep willing to, build out your show to be better and bigger in every way. And I think you've just consistently been on an upward trend.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep it going.
Keep it going. Connor, that's it for the news this week. So we are going to jump straight into, for what we've been playing segment, we're going to jump into Phil's review of Marvel's Midnight Suns. Don't go anywhere just yet. We're going to say goodbye to Connor. We're going to say hello to Phil here in just a second. Connor, is there anything else you want to leave the people with this week?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. It is Christmas time.
It's not when this comes out, though, but,
No, well,
I won't.
Also, you'll be out of town next week, so for the news, you will not be covering it. But we're still going to get our little dosage of Connor next week with our Final Fantasy Crisis Core reunion review that you will be reviewing for us next week. And that will go live Sunday, as always, and then will be attached to this podcast at Monday, 8 a.m. Central Time, just as it is every week at youtube.com/2pennygames and mainstream podcast services of your choice. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Stay tuned for the Midnight Suns review. And until next time, have a great time. And Connor, say goodbye to the people.
Great time.
What's poppin', players? Welcome back to a 2-Penny Games review. I am your host, Tavin Bothel, here with my good friend and co-host. Say hello to the people, Phil Shoemaker.
Howdy.
Phil, you're our big reviewer this time, my friend. What have you been playing for us?
Well, Tavin, I've been playing Marvel's Midnight Suns. It's a XCOM-esque game, turn-based. You have your heroes that you select, and you fight Hydra. And this old evil by the name of Lilith, and she's like making them all supernaturally evil and such. So you got to call on the Midnight Suns, which I think is like a comic or something.
It's
like
a comic
series, right? Okay, yeah. And shout out to Blade just rolling out of bed with his undies on. And that footage. Weird visual bug. Also, Peter was not in a spider suit. And then I was like, "What the fuck? What the fuck are you doing there, Blade?" Anyway, no, it's been a pretty good time so far. I'd say, really satisfying as far as like all the hero abilities you have. Like Blade, he has really good lifesteal because he's a vampire. Spider-Man's more like he's really agile, and he can like web up enemies to like hold them down for a turn so they can't move. So that's pretty good. They both also do really good damage. And then something I didn't expect, there's like a player character in this game. I was not expecting to play for just a player character. I thought it was just going to be regular Marvel heroes. Granted, you don't have to bring your player character in every outing. You can choose to bring them. I think you have to bring them in every story mission. But yeah, I've been having a good time. As far as like the game, like how it feels to play, it's really satisfying. There's a really satisfying loop of the rules you have here. You have you can play 3 cards in each turn. You have, well, I shouldn't say you can only play 3 cards. You have 3 card plays. There are certain abilities that you can use that are like quick abilities that refund card plays. So you can like combo more and more cards. You get one little move for one of your heroes to move around. You can use items, which I haven't really used, that I haven't really needed them. This game's pretty easy. I'm playing on the normal difficulty. So I've thought about doing the hard thing, but I don't know if there's any trophies tied to completing on the hard, so don't know if I will. Yeah, there's like I think the most satisfying part of it is like there's a like a knockback kind of thing that you can do. That, and also there's like a combo deal you can do as well. So knockback, you can like throw one person into another person for like massive damage, and it's really cool. Then the other thing, the combo thing, certain heroes like Wolverine and Spider-Man, if one combo move will knock that person out, you can then chain it to another person. So like you're like ping ponging all over the field, taking out like 4 people at once. It's pretty nuts. The story is kind of just there. A lot of the dialogue is very cringe. And it's not even, I mean, you'd expect kind of like silly haha dialogue from Spider-Man, but there's like a solid 2.5 hours where you don't even have Spider-Man in your team. So it's like, okay, these quips are coming from people that aren't Spider-Man. And I was like, this is kind of off-putting. So I'm I'm not really into a lot of the dialogue, so I'm not really listening. I kind of just there's like a good and evil meter that you can, or like it's not good and evil. It's like light and dark for your player character, and there's like certain dialogue options you can pick like while you're interacting with other heroes, and pick that. And I kind of just pick the light one by default. I don't listen to anything people are saying. Just because it's uninteresting to me.
Gotcha.
The only thing that I think is fun is just hopping in and taking down Hydra and comboing moves and getting through the story. The story is, I mean, like I said, it's whatever. I actually just got past a mission while I was recording this. I got Wolverine just for like a little bit. He's probably one of my favorite characters to play with. Wolverine's super fun. I haven't gotten him into like the hub area to where you can like actually bring him with you on every mission. But what I did play with him was fucking awesome. He's super satisfying. Him and Spider-Man, I think, are my two favorites.
Okay. Fantastic. Talk to me more about the gameplay here, because you say XCOM-esque, but I'm seeing a lot of different systems and a lot of different things happening that are very different from XCOM. This game developed by Fireaxis, so XCOM devs, but you mentioned the card plays and you mentioned the different abilities and so forth. A lot of this is pretty different from XCOM. So break this down for me. What am I watching here?
Well, yeah, when I say XCOM here, it's more just like it's like a tactics. I should have just said tactics, not necessarily XCOM. So, you have, like I said, you have your card plays here. You also have redraws, which is basically like if you have a card in your hand that you use like, oh, that's kind of a dead draw, I don't want to use that. You can hold down the button and try for a different card. And you have like each hero has their own card deck. And so it shuffles them all together and puts them into your hand.
Oh, okay. And I assume you can edit each of these decks per hero?
Yeah. So at the end of every mission, there's kind of like a loot box deal. It's not like one that you can like, oh, you want to pay for some more loot boxes. At least I haven't run into that yet, if there is that option. But at the end of everything, I think they call them like fusion coils or something like that. And then they open them up. Tony Stark opens it up, and you unlock little abilities that are these cards, and they can be anything. Typically, the coil will only have heroes that you had on that last mission for abilities that you can get drawn from. So like if you took, for example, Blade and Spider-Man with you in this last mission, it'll come all the abilities will be either your hero ability, Blade, or Spider-Man. So it'll shuffle. I think at the beginning it's just 3 random cards you can get, but then later it's 4 after you upgrade that. I don't know if it gets any bigger than that. I've only put, I want to say 8 to 10 hours in this game. Okay. That's because like it kind of kept crashing on me. Oh, that's one of the big issues I've had.
A lot of technical bugs or what?
I don't know. I don't really know. It's happened at different points of everything that I've done. So it's not like one thing that I keep doing causes a crash. I've had it happen where it was like at the beginning of a combat encounter, at the end of a combat encounter, in the middle of a like training sequence, because there's like you can like spar with your hero friends and like they'll get like a small buff for their next outing. So I had one at the end of one of those. It's really strange. I can't really pin down exactly what's crashing with it or what the issue is.
Well, it all sounds gameplay related and so forth.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
So at the beginning of the footage that you've been showing me here, I saw there's just like some like follow a character around, third person camera behind your back type thing. It looked like with your player character or whatever. What is all that about? There's a hub that you go back to. What's going on there?
Yeah, so it's like a big mansion that you and all your hero friends live in, and you're. Like I said, I was not expecting for there to be like a player character in this. Mm-hmm. So basically, like you've been awakened by the Midnight Suns to this person took out this ancient evil before. Let's awake him and bring him back. And you're like the ancient evil's kid or something like that. You're like you can pick a male or female. I chose a male just because I'm a basic bitch. I'm kind of regretting picking the male because I think. There's more interesting stuff if I did pick female, because at least that's what I think that's what like the box art is. It's a female lead, but I don't know.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah,
I should have done that, but I didn't realize that, so it's too late. Anyway, yeah, you go and you basically talk to all these heroes and you like build relationships. It's like there's like a friendship level that you can get with everybody. And like I was saying earlier, some of the dialogue options will either improve or retract. I don't know what's the opposite of improve.
Degrade. I don't know.
Degrade. Yeah, it'll either improve or degrade your friendship level with that hero. I think I'm like friendship level 1 or 2 with like Spider-Man and Blade, just because I hang out with them most. There is also a kind of a little bit of an incentive to bring other heroes on your outings with you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll be like, "Oh man, I'm feeling really left out. Will you, and I'll give you a bonus if you bring me with you next time," or something like that. Like I had that with Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider has a very interesting moveset. It's very like high risk, high risk, kind of mid reward kind of deal. Like all of his abilities hurt himself.
Oh.
Like almost all of his abilities. He has one like lifesteal thing that's kind of neat, and his like ultimate hero ability is really cool. He like because it's like the car Ghost Rider. It's not the bike Ghost Rider.
Gotcha.
So like it's called like Hell Ride, and you basically fucking go in a straight line. It's kind of like a wide area. Sorry, I bumped my microphone. And you fucking just drive through all the people. Gotcha. with this car, and it's pretty neat. But
now, as a big thing with XCOM was positioning of units and line of sights and so forth. This just kind of looks like the positioning doesn't matter as much. Am I wrong in that? Just from the eyes, or
you're not wrong. From what I've experienced, positioning isn't a big deal. Like cover isn't a thing in this.
Huh.
So it's kind of like each enemy will target whatever. Excuse me, my nose is kind of stuffy. Each enemy will kind of target whatever hero they feel like. And then there's other cards that have like a taunt ability, which will cause them to then target whatever initiated the taunt if they're like within a certain radius. There's also like other like status conditions like marked. There's like stunned. There's like dazed, which is interesting because if a lot of dazed, you're not really inflicting on the enemy. It's more them inflicting on you, and it's basically like you can't use this hero's abilities first. You have to use like at least 1 or 2 other abilities before you can use this person's abilities, because then it'll like remove the daze. It's like a temporary stun rather than a whole turn, you know. But yeah, it's not bad. Also, like a lot of the like splash screens here are kind of neat. Like it's kind of cute. I don't know if you saw Sabretooth said the second best at what he does, and then when Wolverine came up, it said the best at what he does.
Cute.
Yeah. So a lot of those are kind of cute, but a lot of the like just back and forth dialogue is kind of, like I said earlier, kind of cringe.
Okay. All right. So overall, like, who is this game best for? Is it best for XCOM fans? Is it best for strategy game fans, Marvel fans, superhero fans? Like, what who should play this game?
I'd say probably like if you're a fan of strategy games and a fan of the Marvel universe, like as a whole, you probably have a good time with this. I would say for me, this is, I know we don't really usually do numbers, but like you say all the time on the podcast, we've had a lot of 7 out of 10s in this game. I would probably say it's the same with this game.
Definite 7 out of 10. Yeah.
Certain technical issues, like plenty of cringy cheesy dialogue, and a pretty I'd say like mid-level rewarding game loop. Like I'm having a good time. But that being said, I've kind of been having more fun playing through Arkham for fucking book club.
Okay. The XCOM games were always like 30, 40 hours long. So do you see this? I imagine this is about the same amount of length. I think I saw reviewers somewhere hitting upwards of 80 or something like that. I
don't know.
Is this game loop enough to carry you even to the 20-hour mark?
I'm kind of just interested to see like who all is in this cast of characters, and just seeing how they all play, because like there's some of them that I hadn't really touched before going in and trying to record this stuff and messed around with. They're actually more fun than I thought they would be. Like Nico Minoru, I think she's from like the Runaways series or something like that. She's got like the staff thing.
Don't know.
She's like a really interesting like kind of mage class, which is like she has a gimmick where like all of her cards do like a random amount of damage or a random amount of like a random status ability. So it's like it'll be between like a really low level damage, a mid level damage, and a really fucking high level damage. And that's like an interesting kind of thing. I'll throw her in my party every once in a while for like the side missions and stuff, because like I'm interested to see like, oh man, this fucking 140 damage thing doing that's basically like 2 people's health bars. Let me just go ahead and bring that. It's pretty interesting. And then there is Magic, one of the, I think she's like the New Mutants or something like that. She's really cool. She's like the Russian girl. I think she got played by Anya Taylor-Joy in that new movie.
Okay.
She's really interesting. She can like teleport people, and you can make like a portal to like go across the map, even though distance isn't really an issue. Like, you know, in XCOM, the distance from an enemy actually mattered.
Yeah.
As far as like how much damage you did, if they could hit you back, if like all that kind of stuff. That doesn't matter here. You basically just choose an ability and then choose where you want that ability to hit, and they'll just run to that part and then hit that person.
So are we hitting
the portal thing? Isn't
are
a big
we hitting
deal.
just? I'm sorry to cut you off. Are we hitting just a more accessible type of strategy game because we're Marvel, because we know we'll draw in crowds for superheroes and stuff?
I would definitely say that. Yeah, I'd say it's a more accessible,
easier,
much easier tactics based
XCOM
RPG.
Fuck you up.
Yes. If you're unprepared and you dive into XCOM, you'll get fucked up.
Yeah.
There's no like there's also like no like resource management, at least not really for like there was an XCOM. Like there's certain things but it's really only just for like card upgrades.
Okay, so they're basing their loop around getting more powerful via getting card upgrades through training or just through experience and working on this relationship system. But if the dialogue is cringy and you're not really paying attention to the story, then
you're not really getting much out of it. Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think disappointed's too harsh of a word.
Okay.
Because like I'm underwhelmed.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't even to me, because I was excited for this game, but as the reviews hit, and then now as I'm hearing you talking, yeah, I'm not so sure if this is in my immediate future, and then it'll probably just get lost to the backlog for me personally.
Yeah.
Especially if the tactics element is super simplified and stuff. But it's nice to hear that it sort of promotes experimentation and playing with new characters and so forth.
There's definitely incentive to try new heroes and get surprised by what they can do.
I like the style. Like they just did like what was that attack?
That was actually a combo move for my hero and Wolverine.
Okay, well that looks cool.
I don't know. I think that only pops up whenever you hit 10 heroism. There's like a little meter on the bottom. That's like another little gauge that certain cards that you do will either make you gain heroism or they'll cost heroism. So that combo move, I think I've only gotten. There was one that I had between Spider-Man and Nico. There was one that I had between Spider-Man and Captain Marvel, I think. And then there was that one between me and Wolverine. There was another one, I think, between me and our Iron Man at some point. They're like high damage moves, and they'll take a lot of heroism to do.
Awesome. Do they address you mentioned you put Spider-Man and Captain Marvel in the same sentence, so I immediately I went, okay, well those are two different power levels. Do they address different power levels with heroes traditionally, or is it just, hey, we're going to build unique skill sets around heroes, and then power level, they're all about the same?
Yeah, I would say it's more just like they all have just unique skill sets.
Okay.
Captain Marvel, that being said, is kind of overpowered. Yeah, so like she has this thing. So like I think the most overpowered thing is what you can see in the footage right here is you can add a protection barrier on yourself, and she'll get that certain cards that she'll gain a protective barrier based on how much damage she does. And then she also has like a passive, which after she uses 3 of her moves, it's just like 3 turns go by after you use one of her attacks, and then she'll become, I think she called it like binary, I think that's what it's called. That might be something in the comics or something like that.
Yeah.
But she gets like that huge fucking aura around her. She gets like a huge protective barrier, and she has one of the most overpowered attacks in the game, which is just one of her basic abilities, which is just a line plasma blast that goes throughout the entire fucking map. And it does a shit ton of damage too.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's like the ultimate ability for fucking Ghost Rider, but it's like just one of the, I think it's still what they call a heroic ability, but it's like one of her easiest ones. She also has her and Spider-Man have a really cool card. I think Wolverine has it too. It basically lets you use one card to draw like 2 or 3 of that other hero's cards again.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then that can combo into using like I said earlier, a quick ability, so you get a card play refunded, so you can just keep comboing and comboing.
That's cool.
So,
okay.
Yeah, there's like a cool, like, you can kind of break the game a little bit.
Now, how in depth or advanced is the card deck building? Because the most recent card game that I played was Marvel Snap. But I've played others, of course. But it would be like certain cards. It'd be like, hey, place this. It doesn't activate until the next turn. Place this. If you don't play another card next turn, then this one is more powerful. Or you'll put a card in your deck that's like, hey, you will draw this first every time or something like that. Is there that level of complexity to it, or is it just, hey, here's a cool move that does this?
Not really. There's as far as deck building goes, there's not really any incentive. Like there's nothing that'll, you use this card, you get something else to your hand on the next turn, or like there's not really anything you can do to influence what you draw besides what I mentioned earlier, where certain characters will have cards that'll add that character's cards to your hand after using that card play. So yeah, there's nothing as deep as Marvel Snap.
Gotcha.
That would
cool.
Like I said earlier.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Well then, like, are you actually like going into your decks and like customizing it, or is it just you're just kind of like?
Oh no, I definitely go in and customize it, because certain cards, like I said, they like certain cards will have like knockback, certain cards will add a taunt. So like not all of them are as good. Like there's 3, I think, categories to cards. There's like attack cards, there's skill cards, and heroic cards. So like the skill card would be something like what I said earlier with the using this card and draw like 3 other cards of this character, or like it'll add a taunt to yourself, so it'll make all the enemies target you instead of someone else. Attack cards will be anything like like I said, one of those quick attacks where like it'll make you regain a card play. There's another attack card, is like I said earlier, where you can like chain a bunch of enemies to like die altogether. Then the heroic ones would be like your ultimate ability, like your big time abilities, like what I said for Ghost Rider's big car attack, for Captain Marvel's beam. Spider-Man has like I think it's called just thwip, where basically you just wrap somebody up with a web.
Now you were speaking on the game's pretty easy, pretty accessible, all of this. Do you find yourself and things like positioning and distancing not mattering so much? Do you find yourself going like redrawing a lot, or going, oh fuck, I have a bad hand, or like is there any like challenge in the implementing of your next move or anything like that? Do you know what I'm saying?
There are some issues at that point. There's some challenges there. Like I'll sometimes find myself without any decent, like I'll have a couple skill cards that aren't really of use to me at that point. So I'll be like, okay, let me see if I can draw like a quick attack, see if I can do a couple combos, or let me see if I can try for like a stun, so I can lock this enemy that's kind of giving me issues. Because there's regular enemies that are Hydra, and then there's villains. Like I think they're the only like big villains that I've run into have been Sabretooth, like what we just saw, and Venom.
Well, there's more to come. I know that much for sure.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, cool. And then is your squad just always a squad of 3 every time that I've been seeing?
As far as I know, it hasn't gotten any more than 3.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Well, Phil, anything else you want to leave us with Marvel's Midnight Suns?
No, I think that's about it. It's a decent time. I think the most, really the RPG, like talking to people, isn't nearly as satisfying as I'd like it to be. It's really just all about the action for me, and at least when it comes to this game.
Okay. All right. Is this a full recommendation or a wait for sale? How are you feeling on it?
I'd probably wait for a sale.
Wait for a sale. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for hopping in on that with me here, Phil. And thank you so much, everybody else, for listening back at home, listening and watching. Remember, you can get this podcast at youtube.com/2pennygames, where you can find the breakout reviews by themselves, or they're attached to the 2 Penny Gamescast, which you can find live every Monday at 8 a.m. Central Time, youtube.com/2pennygames, or mainstream podcast services of your choice: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, etc. Until next time, everyone have a great time. And Phil, say goodbye to the people.
Technical issues be damned. Thanks for watching.